Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Corey Gerald here with Jennifer Thompson.
Hey, everybody.
And we're with Dr. Marketing Tips. So, what we're here today to do is help walk you through creating the ideal marketing plan for your medical practice.
Let us first share with you just a little bit about who we are. As you're listening to this webinar, you'll hear us talk about clients. That's because Corey and I work day in, day out in medical offices. We have about 15 years marketing experience. Corey and I have worked together for about 7 years. I actually got Corey when he was a wee baby, fresh out of college. And he has developed become quite the marketing genius and very good at what he does. And so somewhere along the way, we thought, rather than do just client work, it was time for us to give back a little bit more to those individuals that maybe didn't need us full time in their offices.
Well, I don't know about a genius, but thank you for the kind words, Jen. So I can actually pinpoint where it was along the way that we decided to come up with the idea of Dr. Marketing Tips. It's probably about a year or so ago we started working with Carol. Now, the orthopedic practice that Carol works for has about a dozen doctors down in South Florida. So we quickly realized that although she was the director of marketing, she had essentially zero background in the marketing field. Carol comes from the wonderful world, exciting world of HR. And, recently she was tasked with taking over the practice's marketing efforts as well. She also helps with administration duties, accounting. Every now and then she's going to answer the phones at the front desk when they're in a pinch, and just not a real strong marketing background. So we started talking, and we realized that there's a lot of people out there that aren't trained marketers. They're kind of forced into this role, and there's no real resource to help get their head on straight, get them pointed in the right directions, and put their best foot forward. And I know that's a lot of imagery for one sentence, but it's true. So that's kind of where the idea for Dr. Marketing Tips came from. We developed everything you've seen at the site, and you'll see every week as long as you stick around as a member, to help you with all of your marketing and how to make your practice look a little bit better to the patient and the consumer. And the idea is that you're going to be able to save some time, save some money, save some stress. So in a nutshell, the end goal here is to help you attract and retain more patients, right? Dr. Marketing Tips is the first website of its kind, as far as we can tell, to provide medical professionals like you a place to get your questions answered and really learn as much as you care to learn about in the marketing world. So if you haven't done so already, we suggest that you take a look around the site after this module is over. Check out the resources that are there for you. We got articles, help forms, ebooks, audio blogs, you name it, and there's a bunch more stuff coming down the pipeline. I know that's kind of a big nutshell, but there it is. So with that, if you like what you're seeing and hearing, be sure to share Dr. Marketing Tips with your friends and colleagues, maybe not with your boss, so you can really show that you've been doing your homework the next time they ask you something. Maybe keep that secret between us. So we hope you like all the educational resources that we got for you. If there's something you'd like to see, or you feel like letting us know how we're doing at any point, drop us an email at questions@drmarketingtips.com, or you can always find us on Twitter at Dr. Marketing Tips.
All right. So, first things first, though, if you're listening to this, you've obviously signed up to be a member of the Dr. Marketing Tips community. And for that, we want to say thank you.
And so, as part of your registration, you're now enrolled in our 9-week medical marketing course. So, breaking that down for you, we've got 3 modules that are 3 weeks each to show you the ins and outs and what you're going to have to do to kind of become a medical marketing expert in your own right. So, what you're watching and listening to is the first section of Module 1. So, with that, here are 5 things that we're going to talk about today. The first one is how to establish your marketing goals, then how to identify your primary target, then what to do to conduct some competitor analysis, followed by how to determine your budget, and obviously how to measure your results and make sure you're doing it all right.
All right, so let's talk about first about establishing your goals. As you're getting ready to outline your marketing plan, the very first thing that you're going to want to do is understand where it is you're headed. Now, I can say that over the years working with physicians, there's two types of practices. There's the practice that runs by committee, that has a very structured marketing plan. Every year, usually around October, they start putting it together. They take it to a committee, they vote on it, they discuss it, and then they work the plan. And then there's the other type of practice, usually the smaller guys, where they make decisions on the fly. They determine based on cash flow what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. A lot of times their marketing decisions are based on a physician and the physician's spouse and what that spouse may want to do, what school they want to sponsor, what they feel like doing out there, maybe what their competitors are doing. It doesn't matter which type of practice that you are, whether you are the type that plans or the ones that go kind of fly by the seat of your pants. Hopefully what we're going to talk about will ring true and you can translate it into something that'll help your practice. So let's first talk about establishing goals. So establishing goals, first and foremost, what does your practice want to accomplish this year and the year ahead? Be specific. Is it you want to increase the number of new patients? Maybe you want to increase the number of new surgeries or surgery candidates. Maybe you want to open a new location. Maybe there's a hot new spot in town and the rooftops are there and you know that you better get there before your competitors do. This is something that you can track. You know that you opened it, set the goal, get it done, and check it off your list. You may actually want to, if you're opening a new location, come up with a sub-marketing plan just for that location. And something we all deal with on a day-to-day basis, it seems like these days, especially whether it's HCAP scores or CCAP scores, or online reputation management, or somebody saying something about your practice on Facebook, but we're all dealing with patient satisfaction. Maybe your goal this year is to improve your patient satisfaction scores. So some very specific examples of some marketing plans that we have put together in the last year or so. Right off the bat, when you're setting your goals, here's one just to consider. Increase new patients by 10% with an emphasis on attracting surgical candidates. If you're a subspecialist and you perform surgery, we know that surgeries typically are very profitable. And so physicians often want to be in the operating room more than the patient room. And it's also why they a lot of times got into medicine. They want to ultimately help people, but they love cutting them open. A trend lately, and we work with a lot of practices that have started developing the ability to accept appointment request online. So there's two types of things when you're thinking, and we'll get into it later with a future podcast, but you either can actually accept appointments online, which ties directly into your scheduling software, your EMR, or you can put together an appointment request online. It's something that you can quantify. You can track your return on investment directly. Maybe you want to increase your online appointment request by 25%. Maybe you want to increase subspecialty awareness amongst patients and referring physicians. There is nothing worse than having somebody come in to get one procedure done. Let's say it's a knee, and you've got somebody that came in and had a knee replacement, and to find out that they took their grandchild to a competing orthopedist because they didn't know you offered pediatric orthopedics. So cross-marketing to patients and increasing that subspecialty awareness is critical.
And so one thing I just wanted to bring up with that is it's also important to consider an operational component as you are going through these goals, because, obviously increasing your patient count by 10% or 20%, 30%, whatever you want, that's great. But if you don't have the staff and you don't have the space, then obviously that can create a real problem. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but it's just something that you need to consider when you're actually setting up these goals.
Yeah, just a real world example to that. We have a group that we have worked with that offers real time appointments. So they say, look, if you call today, you'll get in today. And it sounds great, except the doctors get too busy, or we turn over the PAs and they don't always necessarily get them in. So what Corey's saying absolutely rings true. Make sure that operationally you are prepared if you achieve the type of growth that you are out there looking to achieve.
And to achieve that growth, obviously, you need to identify the right target. So, whom do you need to reach in order to accomplish your goals? That is potential patients. Those are the people out in the community that you have not reached, that have not visited you. Then you've got your existing patients, which Jen talked about just a second ago with the cross promoting on the subspecialties. That's a great way to up your patient count, and they're already in your office.
Yeah, there's no better patient and new business than the patient you've already got.
I'm sure that you do some referral marketing, so they are prime targets to increase your patient count as well, and community partners too. So, where is your target audience? That's something that you need to figure out first and foremost. It doesn't sound that difficult, but you need to understand your zip codes and your geographic limitations. And I'm going to throw in here too. It's also important to understand your demographics a little bit. So you need to know their behaviors. And obviously this kind of depends on what specialty you actually are. But you're talking to 40-year-old moms or 60-year-old men that are looking to get back on the tennis court. This impacts where they go in the real world, and it also impacts where they go online, how they shop, the websites they visit, and the ways that they're open to being approached. So by finding where they are and what they like, you can maximize your efforts for the least amount of dollars. And if saying that to the boss doesn't make him happy, then I'm not sure what will.
All right, so competitor analysis. It's really important to understand not just what you're doing, but what those folks out there that you're competing with are doing. So first and foremost, when you're putting your marketing plan together, and this will really help you determine where you might spend your dollars or where you might invest in certain areas. And when I say invest, I mean invest dollars, yes, but also invest your efforts and your energy, because time and money, that's what it's all about. So the first and foremost is to know the competition. Understand what they're doing in the marketplace. Take a look at their website. Take a look at their online presence. I promise you that your competitors are watching you. So you really owe it to yourself and to the practice to see what they are doing. Later on, we'll show you some tools over the course of these 9 weeks. We'll show you some tools of how you can monitor your physicians online, where they will send you an update in your email inbox and let you know if somebody said something about your physician. You can do the exact same thing for your competitor. Evaluate also the marketplace dynamics. Understand what's going on in your community, because sometimes the biggest competition that you've got may not be a competing practice. It may be something that's going on within your particular trade area. Spend some time to understand the trends that are going on in your marketplace.
And so one thing that I just wanted to touch on, as you are trying to understand your competitors in the marketplace and things like that, you have to realize again who your target is and what they what they kind of want. So if you're trying to reach moms, and so is your competitor, do you go ahead and you put an ad in a community lifestyle magazine? Do you make a Facebook ad tied to an interest? Do you sponsor her son's youth football camp? They all sound pretty good, right? So what works best? And that's where knowing your audience and knowing your competitors, it can really come to a head and give you a clear, distinct advantage or disadvantage.
And also know the changes in healthcare. We all are dealing with it on a daily basis. Reimbursements are changing. The government is giving reimbursements, and insurance companies are reimbursing a lot based on these patient satisfaction scores. So again, your biggest competition may not actually be a competing practice. It may be something going on in the community that you're in. It may be changes in healthcare. It may even be the hospital down the street. We do it all the time. I was at Best Buy recently and I was looking to purchase a television, and I pulled up my smartphone, and the first thing I did was a cost comparison to see if it made sense for me to buy that television there. I was price shopping. That tells you consumers today, we are much more educated than we ever were. In fact, healthcare is, or things related to healthcare is the number 3 search term or search on the internet. People are self-medicating, they are self-diagnosing, they are choosing their own referral. They are more educated than they have ever been before.
And because they're more educated, it's important to find ways to reach them. And to do that, you need to go ahead and determine your budget for the year. So you're probably aware of this. The bosses and the doctors might not be, but marketing is not free. There are some free resources. You're at one of them right now. And there's plenty of stuff out there that can obviously help. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is marketing is not free in a lot of cases. So you need a marketing budget. So if you have clear and measurable goals, then it's easier to determine these expenses, what they're going to be throughout the year. And also, these measurable goals mean you can actually track your ROI, and you can do that on a daily or weekly, monthly basis, whatever you need to do. So some of the things that you're going to spend some dollars on typically, and what we see is graphic design, the printing of collateral material. It's amazing how quickly printing flyers and posters and things like that can really add up. Social media, with the new Facebook algorithms that we see today, there's only about organically, it's between 3 and 12% of your fans are seeing what you're actually posting. So to reach the maximum amount of people, if you are on Facebook, then you need a budget to actually put yourself in front of them.
And that budget can be as small as $5, $10 a day, but you need a line item within your overall budget to accommodate for that. If there's one thing we can say, especially with the way the marketing changes really on a daily basis, especially online, it's establish a budget, but keep it nimble. You want to be able to react to opportunities that might come up in the marketplace or something that might be brought to you by a physician or a physician's spouse. But at the same time, marketing is not free, and that's something that we're constantly having to communicate to the physicians.
Yeah, definitely, and especially lately, it seems like a lot of the social media platforms are all kind of transitioning into a pay-to-play kind of atmosphere. And so, we see on Facebook that the post now reaches 200 people, and if you put $5 behind it, it reaches 2,500 people.
And you go back to this whole idea of competitor analysis. A lot of times your competitors haven't realized this, and very quickly, if you have a budget set aside for social media or for advertising and whatnot, and you're nimble within that budget, and you've got physicians that will entrust you to do it, maybe your competitor hasn't figured out that $5 or $10 behind a post on a social media channel will help you exponentially. And so you can very quickly get ahead of your competitor in the marketplace as long as your budget's nimble.
Yeah, and so speaking of online activities, the next bullet point we've got here is website design and maintenance. A lot of times the medical practice websites they're out of date and they need to be updated. And with the amount of people that are looking at websites on their mobile devices, their phones or their tablets, it's important that your website shows up properly. And if yours does and your competitors doesn't, well then you've got a clear and distinct advantage right there. And then obviously the equipment to do your job. One thing that we always stress is the importance of video.
Yeah, it's video, especially for explaining procedures, maybe getting patient testimonials. Long gone are the days where you got your patient testimonials in a little handwritten card. Sure, we still get letters in the mail and we get cards, comment cards dropped off at the office, but 7 out of 10 times, if you have a patient that's had a good experience and the physician will say, hey, would you be willing to do a testimonial? They will. And those testimonials will translate into helping you achieve those goals because it really helps with your online presence. We'll get into that with a later webinar of how it helps. But trust us on this one, it helps. And you need your equipment to do your job. And that could be as simple as purchasing a video camera, a high quality one. Another thing we see a lot of times is people will go to an event or they'll do something great in the community. They'll sponsor the Little League team and they'll go out to a health fair and set up a table and or do a talk, but they'll forget to take a photo. And plain and simple, if you don't take a photo, it did not happen in the world of social media, in the world of this instant gratification. You've got to share what you're doing and you have to have the equipment to do that.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, we see sometimes, I'm going to bring Carol back into this. She was a little I'll say it, she was a little afraid of actually setting up the camera and doing the whole patient testimonial thing. But really, it takes about 10 minutes or so. We're actually going to have a future post about it. So if you're in Carol's seat, don't worry, we'll walk you through every single step of the way.
So let's talk about measuring results. I think we've all been there. When the economy slows down or when money gets tight, the very first thing we hear, whether you're in a medical practice or at a hospital or any type of business, is that we've got to make cuts and let's cut marketing. So the best thing that you can do is to put together a plan to actually track ROI, return on investment. We'll actually put it in the show notes and later on explain how to use it a little bit more in depth. But we suggest that you establish a monthly report and you actually use that report. You can track things like your website traffic. You can track total visitors, unique visitors, the amount of time they spend on your website, what the top pages that they may be interested in. You can talk about, you can track forms conversion. What I mean by this is you've set up maybe a contact us form or a schedule an appointment or request an appointment form. Let's say you have 100 people that go to that form, 15 of them actually fill it out and request an appointment. So you've got a 15% conversion rate, and you can track that month over month. You can always track the number of new patients. You can track total patients. You can track surgical procedures. You can absolutely track social media growth month over month, along with total budget related to social media growth. You can track total impressions. You can track total impressions within your total trade area. You can track number of people that looked at your videos. And you can compare all of these tracking mechanisms up against the goals that you've established in your marketing plan. You can even track event attendance, the number of people showing up at your community talks, the number of potential patients that you meet at a health fair. Sometimes a little tougher, but you can track referrals. And I say it's tough because we often find that junk in is junk out. When you get a patient and they show up at the office, if there's not an actual referral form to go with it, with that patient checking in, sometimes they forget who actually referred them. But it still helps you get a gauge of what's going on. And that way, if ever your team or your management or administrators or physicians says, tell me how you're actually worth what we pay you, or why shouldn't we cut marketing, you can show them the return on investment.
All right, so that about wraps it up for today. And I want to make a quick mention to go ahead and once you're done with this, be sure to check the show notes for all the resources that we've got down there. One of which is a handy budget kind of overview example worksheet, so you can get an idea of kind of what you're up against, and you can actually go ahead and take that and customize it to your needs and get started. So just real quick to review what we went over today, how to establish your goals, how to identify your targets, your competitor analysis, determining your budget, and measuring results. So with that, I think we're all wrapped up for today, and take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, we'll see you next week.